Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast, where we've got another decent weekend's racing to preview. We hope it's on. That's the first thing, because there is going to be an inspection at Cheltenham. We're focusing on Saturday, that we're casting over Friday. Donny might be all right. We hope so. But that's what we're going to be majoring on. 7 races in the main to preview for you, joined by Steve Jones and Adele Mulrennan. Let me remind you to like and subscribe to the podcast so you can watch each and every time it goes live. You can watch it back as well. You can do that with the current preview for England against France Saturday night. Stellar team amassed for that. And I'm looking forward to getting stuck in and see who the guys think is going to win. Hopefully England, but let's be honest, it's going to be difficult. Reminder to go to insights.matchbook.com for all the podcast best bets. And episode 3 of The Other Side of the Fence with Matchbook ambassador Ollie Murphy is out now. So do watch that. Mihal DC and Dan Hussey have done a stellar job with that series. Charlie Post involved as well. And behind the scenes look at what happens when you get a horse from the sales. Right. I think we can get stuck into the preview. We're going to start with Friday. Steve Jones, our local Cheltenham man. Is it going to be on, Steve?
Oh, it's a bit chilly, isn't it? I think the problem was the ground was so quick. They had to water and then they couldn't put the covers down at the time they wanted. So I hope so. Although it is still quite cold.
Be a bit crap if it was off, wouldn't it? But look, that's the time of year we're at. Okay, so Friday, first of all, I think we're all focusing on the last race, which is a really good race. You've got Dusart 3.0, Captain Morgs is 6.5, Annual Invictus 8.0, Utrecht 10.0, then the Mare Indefatigable 11.0, bigger prices the rest. Adele, I took the view that Dusart was worth taking on first start for a little while. Captain Morgs doesn't see his races out, and he's a very tricky ride. And Annual Invictus is the obvious one. So you, first of all, we're in agreement.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, you can definitely find faults in the other ones. One of them maybe not too that genuine as well. Captain Morge. So Annual Invictus, I don't know what it is about Cheltenham, but it seems to certainly bring out the best in him. Previously, he'd won a chase there. So just think he's quite a solid little horse, quite a versatile looking horse. And he seems to really relish the uphill finish there. So nice to see him kind of get back on track over hurdles last time out. I know he'd previously pulled up over fences. Maybe he'll go back over fences at some point this season. But just a nice solid horse, I think, to go out in that race.
Yeah, I thought the rise was fair enough for the course and distance success last time. I think he's got a really good chance against, Dusart and honestly Captain Morgs, who Steve is going with. So I don't think he's perfectly genuine. But what do you think, Steve?
You can he's certainly been frustrating over the years, but I just think he's worth a shot at 3 miles. He's second run after a breathing operation, which certainly it didn't have a negative effect last time. He ran really well behind Call Me Lord, who should have followed up at Sandown last weekend. That was at Kempton. And he's got cheek pieces on, which he's always looked like a bit of a candidate for headgear. So with those 3 reasons to kind of hope that he would improve, I'm going to go for Captain Morgs. I know what you're saying. He has pissed people off down the years, but his jumping hasn't been. He seems to make horrible mistakes at the wrong time. So I'm hoping that the 3 miles will help him jump a bit better, and he'll just pop round and laugh at Annual Invictus.
Maybe he will. Can we all laugh at you if he throws it away?
You usually do.
We didn't on Monday when Steve was on great form at the HWPA Awards. Really good form. We were very huggy, Steve.
Man love. I must have caught this cold off you then.
I did go there with a bit of a sniffle, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, good day that was. Right, anyway, let's move on to Saturday. So we're going to do Cheltenham 4 races on ITV, then the Donny 3, just in case we lose one of them. So it's easy for you to catch up with where we're going rather than splitting it up. The December Gold Cup has Il Rodotto 5.5, Stolen Silver 7.0, Fantastic Lady Warlord 9.0, bigger prices thereafter. Warlord, first of all, for Adele. Why?
Well, I think they're gonna start trying to stretch his stamina a little bit now and just kind of probably play him at this trip. I know his previous wins were kind of like over the intermediate trip, but and he spent most of his novice chase days over 2 miles. But apart from like last year, I thought he ran quite well against Miller's Bank. I know he was well beaten and he was certainly no match for him, but that was in a Grade 1 at Aintree. Third on his return, which I think was pleasing enough. He kind of looked like he was going to fall out of the back of the TV at one point and then just kind of plugged on. So I think they're stepping up in trip. They think quite a lot of this horse, Joe Tizard. So I'm kind of going with the feelings that he's been putting out. Really, he seems to think he's going to run a big race. Stolen Silver was apparently lame when he unseated last time. So whether he's back on track, I presume he will be. He won't be running otherwise. Il Redito, the trip I was a little bit of a question mark about. So I just thought, from what I could gather from Joe Tizard, I think he really wants to crack on with this horse now at this trip. So I thought he might run a big race. And I didn't think he was badly priced. So you could, if he was big enough, have a little go at the place market with him. Small win place.
Yeah, he definitely is. Steve?
Well, Adam Wedge and Evan Williams won this race last year, and I'm going for them to win it again with Coconut Splash, who is another frustrating horse, but he's not had a huge amount of racing. He's still only 7. He only runs really 3 times a season, but I thought he would definitely improve for his comeback run at Wetherby, which was in quite a good race. The winner into Overdrive was runner-up to L'Empresse at Newcastle last time, and I thought that was a decent enough starting point. He's done most of his racing, Coconut Splash, on quite testing ground, but his pedigree suggests that decent ground will be even better, and I think it'll be quick ground because, like I said, they haven't really been able to put much water on it, and I think if it goes ahead, they take the covers off, and I think it's going to be quite quick, and there'll be a lot of horses that maybe aren't all that suited to it. But I'm hoping that Coconut Splash will. And if you go back through his form, been taking on some really good horses from the very start, since his hurdles debut when he was touched off by Imperial Alcazar. And then there was the likes of Messier de Zobo and Chantry House over fences. So he's a horse that I think certainly has a lot of ability. And if the ground is suitable for him, I think he's got a good chance. He's certainly potentially on a really good weight, really nicely handicapped. So I'm going to go winning place Coconut Splash.
And I'm going to go win and place Sam Thomas's horse, Stolen Silver, who I think first and foremost, you've got to be up there in this race. It's hard to come from off it. He should be. Last time didn't work out, but he was primed for that race. Bit worried he finished lame. Bit like Adele, Il Redito at the more testing new course, I'm not sure. So Stolen Silver, not the strongest opinion, win and place for me. We come to the International. This has got Epatante top of the market 2.5. I like to move it 2.88. Nappers Hill 5, 8.5 for Street, and Zafanian any price you like. Steve.
This is purely on prices because I think this horse has been underestimated. And I know he's got to give weight away to all his runners, his rivals rather. Nappers Hill, who I was massively impressed with at Wincanton. And if it is quick ground, he's never been beaten on good or faster. And his defeats or his worst form comes on soft ground. And beating So Royal around Wincanton is no mean feat, even getting a bit of weight. And he made all the running. If he just pops out again, and I think he will go really well. I think he should definitely be second favourite, even though I like to move it. That was a good win in the Greatwood, but I didn't think it was much of a race, the Greatwood this year, even though he had top weight. So if there is one to beat Epatante, and Nappers Hill gives Epatante £7, but that's what he'd be giving them in in a Grade 1. So because obviously she's a mare, and I just didn't want to get carried away with Epatante because she is getting on a bit now, and she's had a lot of racing during her career. She's very good, and she is the most likely winner, but she has the potential, in my opinion, to start maybe just going downhill a little bit.
Yeah, there's the whole 8-year-old mare thing, which was levered against Honeysuckle. I don't know, Adele. I think she's a prize, isn't she? Like, what's she done wrong?
She's done nothing wrong at all. I mean, Constitution Hill is an absolute monster, and she still finished second to him, and she was still clear of a 158 rated Not So Sleepy. Look, she's a six-time Grade 1 winner. She's done absolutely nothing wrong, and I thought she actually looked $1 million when I seen her on TV. I wasn't there that day, but I thought she looked really, really well. She did. I thought she looked fantastic. She's still full of it, full of beans. Travel well, jump well. I didn't think she did. She showed anything to suggest that she was on a downward curve. So, quite happily take 2.5 with her. To be honest with you, I was, in a race where, listen, she's the most likely winner, and to be 2.5. I mean, couldn't ask for much more, could you?
Yeah, I like to move it 2.88 compared to her. I'd much rather have her. Quite a lot. Yeah.
You know what you're getting with her. I mean, she's genuine. She's, I just can't see why she wouldn't win, really.
Alex says if Epatante runs here, she won't win at Punchestown in April time. Of course, she didn't back end last year. She was beaten by a stable companion and makes the mare's hurdle a question mark. I hope she doesn't run again until March. You have to feel she's going to be aimed at the mare's hurdle, don't you, off the back of the fact that the yard have Constitution Hill?
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
Anyway, we'll see. 2.5 for Epatante for Adele and I, and a bigger price, Steve, on Napper's Hill. Right, the Albert Bartlett nicest hurdle. It's the Bristol. It's effectively a trial for the Albert Bartlett. We've all been caught is 2.5. Outlaw Peter 2.88. Thomas Moore 5.0. Grand Soir is 10.0, and bigger price is the final trio. Steve, I know you're sitting this one out. I'll kick off with Grand Soir. It's not the biggest opinion. I know that he has a bit to find on RPRs, but John McConnell needs to be respected when sending these horses over. Ground is very much a plus, and he is tough, and he stays. I wasn't sure what Thomas Moore achieved last time, although he could be very good. Outlaw Peter's an obvious one, but I thought just a price selection, small win bet only, Grand Soir for me, who ticks a few more boxes about what we know about him than a few of the others. Paul will have to improve. Adele.
I was quite keen on Outlaw Peter, and then I'm not going to go all in on him. Like, I'm still going to go a little bit steadily. That the race he won last time out at Exeter wasn't the strongest, but it was very much a kind of like a confidence kind of boost. I think they were keen to just kind of get his head back in front and then step him back up in grade. He's definitely strengthened up, looking a little bit more stronger in the finish. I mean, if he'd want to really be, running well or putting up a good performance in this, if Paul mentioned the Cheltenham hurdle for him, but interesting with his American pedigree, his sire, because he'll absolutely love the ground. I can't imagine he would want like really soft ground, this horse, having that kind of pedigree. Interesting that they couldn't even give this horse away as a 2-year-old. I think he was €1,000 or something like that. He doesn't have a great pedigree, but as I said, I think he'll love the ground, having that flat pedigree. So hopefully it's not just a fluke that he won by 19 lengths, and he does actually have a little bit of ability.
I mean, it looks that way, doesn't it? I thought it was a trappy little race, but Outlaw Peter for Adele, Grand Soir for me, the Irish Raider, and the 335 is a mare's handicap hurdle over 2.5. I just got rid of the prices in front of me. That was bright. Bear with, apologies. Theatre Glory is 4.0. Martella Sky 6.0, as is Lady Adair. Neither the Terrier 6.5. Indefatigable 8.5, who is also declared for the last race on the Friday. Don't know what the main intended start is. I Spy Diva 10.0, bigger prices. The rest. Steve, who are you with?
I'm with Nina the Terrier, who, if you fancy the horse that won the Greatwood in the International, I Like to Move It. You've got to fancy Nina the Terrier in this because she ran really well in the Greatwood. And what I like in these mares races is mares that have been taking on the boys. And that's what she did last time. She had good form last season behind the likes of Love Envoy. And she's another one that will like the ground. And she was in the Greatwood. They took the hurdles out because of the sun, and that did her no favours. She got involved quite early in the finish and just faded. She ran a lot better than her final finishing position in 5th. And with that liking for decent ground, she's up to 2.5, which I think is her optimum distance. She was second in the big mares novice handicap at Newbury, the back end of last season in the spring, and off quite a big weight. And she's just tough, likes the ground, likes the distance. So I think she's got a huge amount going for her. And all her worst runs have come on quite testing ground. It's not going to be that. So yeah, I'm keen on Nina the Terrier.
Okay, Adele, you're with Indefatigable.
Yeah, if she runs, to be honest, I couldn't really commit to one. And then I just thought if she could put up the same performance as last year at this meeting, I think she didn't run very well at Wetherby. I understand she finished last, but to be honest with you, she looked really fat at Pontefract when I seen her run on the flat. She kind of went her usual way of having a run at Pontefract before going to Wetherby, but she still looked quite fat at Wetherby as well. I don't know whether she just done really well over the summer, and maybe he said she looked fit, but I think she looked like she needed another run. So fingers crossed. I struggled to come down on one. I just thought she might run well at the place market, is what she did last year and at the same meeting. So I'm not really strong on her, but it would be nice to see her run to some kind of form again.
I didn't expect to have my best bet lining up in the mare's handicap hurdle. I think Theatre Glory is a smashing bet. She lined up in the Jerry Fielden when unseating. We don't know what would have happened. It was won by First Street, who seemingly was the choice of Nicola Boinville. But I think she could easily be well treated still. I was really impressed with her performance on good ground in April on the Mayor's Day, but I think sometimes that day doesn't get the respect it deserves. I thought that was a really smart performance from her, and I think she could leave this mark well behind. I think she's easily the best treated in it, and I'd be she's the only bet I'm really interested in having on the day, to be completely honest. Theatre Glory, who's about 4.0. That's Cheltenham done. On Saturday, hopefully it happens. Then the 1:30 at Doncaster we come to next. I think of the 9 in here, there are 6 who might run at Cheltenham. Why there is a juvenile hurdle on the same day at Donny and Cheltenham, I don't know. Over 2 miles, but anyway, Nusret is 2.38, Scriptwriter 3.5, Trojan Horse 10.0, 11.0, and bigger the remainder. Steve and I are both with Nusret. I'm mainly with this horse because I know this is the intended target for it, and looked quite nice. I thought so far, but it's not a very strong shout. I think this horse and Milton Harris's will come here, but I'm not sure about the rest.
Yeah, it was more of a token effort for me as well, to be honest, because it has got that look a little bit like it'll end up being not many runners. Nusret had some really good flat form, only won the once, but had some good flat form and seemed to improve for hurdles it punches down. Given the way the juvenile hurdlers in Ireland have dominated in recent years, I just think Nusret will probably win, but it's not a race I'm fantastically excited about.
No, I get that impression, Steve. Adele, are you excited by it?
Excited for Trojan Horse because he's a horse that I have followed on the flat. He won the double trigger race at Redcar on his second start, and he's a really good looking horse. And I thought, oh, he's really nice. And then he won first time out this year at Ripon. And I was like, oh, here we go. This is, he's because he's gorgeous. He really is a good-looking horse. I thought, oh, he's going to be a nice one to follow for the rest of the season. Then he just never built on it. But he seems to have kind of found his feet again over hurdles, winning his second start. He won by 10 lengths. It wasn't a very good race, but he's actually got quite a nice pedigree. That's why I thought he was going to be something nice to follow for the flat, because his dam was listed place and she was a half sister to a Group 1 winner Getaway. So I thought, oh, he's got a nice pedigree, but actually in his pedigree, he's got quite a few hurdle winners as well. So hopefully he might be able to kind of show a little bit more over hurdles than what he managed to show on the flat. Would be nice. As I said, he's a good looking horse. You'd definitely pick him in the paddock. He always used to win best turned out. So yeah, I just think he's something for me to follow for the season anyway. Happy to watch him run at Doncaster.
And is 10.0 currently for Trojan Horse. Small place.
Small win in a place, but yeah.
240 next. Actually, the next at Donny that we're not covering, but that race has a few doubly declared as well. This is a 2 mile, 3 furlong handicap chase. It gets a bit more competitive here. Heroic de Mold is 3.5. Man Insane 4.0. 5.5 Getaway Love. 7.5 Full of Light. Then bigger prices. This was really trappy for me. So Adele and Steve, you agree? Steve, you can make the case first of all.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. Full of Light, I really like this horse. I mean, you've got to take a bit of a chance, but at the prices, it's a horse with a massively inconsistent profile. Won at Plumpton just before Christmas last year, then pulled up, then won at False Last, then pulled up. And I thought ran a fair bit better at Exeter on chasing debut than he was actually given credit for. He finished well beaten, tailed off last, but he went really well for quite a long way. And I think he'd definitely be better off on a left-handed track where obviously Plumpton and False Last are left-handed. He did seem to edge that way at Exeter, and he was very, very weak in the betting. And you'd imagine that he's going to improve a fair bit for that. So with Nicky Henderson banging in the winners, I think it's certainly worth taking a chance on Full of Light, because I didn't think it was the strongest race potentially.
Now, I think it's important at this point just to inject some sort of joy into the podcast, because obviously Steve's still a bit worse for wear, bless him. But I don't know if we can we see a picture of what Steve looks like when he's happy? There he is.
How could I not be happy with your arm around me?
Charlie Post and me, and look at Steve's face. Just look at his face.
If I knew he was having the team matchbook photo, I'd have been there.
I think you'd been sensible and had left by that point.
Yeah, we had a train book, but then it was 2 hour delayed. I could have stayed a bit longer, joined in.
Nigel Tinker tells me you and Paul wouldn't show up on the way home, Adele.
Yeah, I believe that one. He kept us all entertained on the train when we were sat on it for an hour at the station.
Good man. Adele, you can make your case for Full of Light. What do you want to add?
I think Steve's really covered everything. He's dropping in class, back left-handed, tongue tie on, ground should be ideal for him. So yeah, he's got a few excuses to his name, but I think, like Steve said, I think he's definitely worth taking a chance on, and he's the one I'm going to take a chance on anyway.
I thought it was very difficult. I think the next is difficult as well. This is the last at Donny. Top of the betting, you've got Melo Blanc 3.75, Gavroche Dallier 4.0, Ewood Park 5.0, Fearless Action 8.5, Watergrange Jack and Mr. Dealer 9.5. Any agreement here? No. So Adele, you're sitting this out. Steve, you are with Ewood Park.
I am. Yeah, I really fancy Ewood Park. He was almost my best bet because he had 3 runs in novice hurdles the season before last, and on debut he was running a very good race behind Third Time Lucky, who's obviously gone on excuse me, to be much better than this grade. And Ewood Park finished his novice campaign at Doncaster with a third behind a Sawara 1 and Incorrigible. and both of those are well into the 130s. So Ewood Park's, I'm convinced, is well handicapped. It's gone down £2 for his first run for the best part of 2 years, when he was 4th of 5 behind Blenkinsop at Southall, which was a more competitive race than this. Blenkinsop's been mopping up. And he just looked to me, he was weak in the betting again. And he just looked like a horse who's going to improve a hell of a lot. Adrian Heskin was not hard on him at all. He never really asked him to go into the race. Blenkinsop was quite an easy winner. But I'm sure that this horse, if he's anywhere near as good as he was in his novice campaign, I think Ewood Park's really well handicapped and he's going to be a force at this sort of level.
Okay, and I'm with Milton Harris's Gavroche Dallier, who's been the yard are flying along about 20% strike rate this season, and they had a really good year last year. Cheek pieces on for the first time, first start in a handicap, and if you go back to the run 2 starts ago when behind a horse that's followed up today at Taunton, they're definite promise. Last time they knew he was going to get a mark. It's the perfect sort of horse to back, and you can sell it quite confidently, and then it runs a shocker, and you're like, I don't know, but I can see it. So I'll have a little bit on this horse for a pretty smart team. I think he could be very well treated, but yeah, who knows? It's a tough race, but Gavroche Dallier for me. Okay, any other bets elsewhere? Steve, I was tempted by this horse in the 115.
Oh, well, I think he's got a great chance. Editor de Guy, who goes in the 115 at Cheltenham, hopefully, is surprised to me that he was held up last time, because he loves to go from the front, this horse. And on his return to action, he was held up when 3rd behind Dad's Lad at Cheltenham. And he came home quite strongly, even though he was quite well beaten. But I think if they revert to front running tactics, which I can't believe they won't, I just think he's a really good horse, this one, and he's got the potential in my mind to make up into kind of, he might not win a champion chase, but I can see him running well in one. And so he goes in the 115 at Cheltenham, and Editor de Guy is the one I want to be with. I really like his chance.
I'm just flagging up. I don't even know if it's on, but I don't know what the price is. I just wanted to flag up Go Dante, who was a horse to follow for Ollie Murphy and I think Sam Turner. And it's Ollie reappearing in the 157 at Hereford on Saturday. It's more a case to flag it up for consistency on the podcast. But if he's not favourite, and he might not be, I think he could be. I think he's the most likely winner of the race anyway, particularly off a current mark. So I just wanted to flag him in the 157 at Hereford. Go Dante. Adele.
For Miss Milano, she won at Wetherby, I think back in October, and then she won again at Kelso. She's stepping up to 3 miles, which I think will suit her. But the fact that the team are in such good form, Nicky Richards' horses, I think he's on a 22% strike rate for this year, 21 winners from 95 runners, which is really good for him. So yeah, she's looking for the hat trick. I think she'll stay the 3 miles. So just something, again, if you're putting in any horses for your doubles or trebles, thought she might be one for them.
12.20 at Doncaster. Those are the other bets. Let me remind you about the sign-up offer. You've got to use the bonus code INSIGHTS30, INSIGHTS30. Place a bet up to £30. If it doesn't win, you'll get your money back as a free bet up to £30. You've got to use the bonus code INSIGHTS30. It is for new customers only. You need to be 18 plus, and you should always be gamble aware. All right. Best lays. Sorry, Steve, I wasn't going to have one, but then I thought we've got to have an in-running lay on Captain Morgs at 2.0 or shorter. Money on.
I like your style.
Give us something to banter over. Adele.
I haven't got a lay, have I? I couldn't find anything short enough.
No, you're right. You haven't.
Wanted to go at.
Could just read what's in front of me. No, nothing. Steve.
Well, there's no betting on this, so I might have got this wildly wrong because I'm going on betting forecast, which is about as reliable as the weather forecast. But in the 232 at Hereford, Morrico Devassi has been put in at 2.5 by some people. So if he's anywhere near that, I think he's a massive lay because he didn't jump at all well on his first start over fences at Wetherby. And although he got quite close, he wouldn't want to be jumping like that at all in this race. And he faces a couple of rivals. There's a couple of live ones in there, Captain Mathan and Black Poppy. So if he's anywhere near that, he'd probably go off 5.0 or 10.0. But if he is that 2.5 and that's all I got to go on, I will lay it.
Okie dokie. And then best bets. I'll start. I've talked myself into Gavroche Dallier. It was very nearly going to be Theatre Guide, but Gavroche Dallier in the last at Donny 3.15 is my best bet. Adele.
Well, seeing as we've both agreed on him, Full of Light, who I think because he's got such a patchy profile, you might still get a good price on him on the day, considering those at the top of the betting have won last time out or been second. So you might get a good price on him. I'm going to go with him. I think there's numerous things coming into play on Saturday that I think hopefully it'll see him get back on track.
And Steve.
I'm going to go with Editor de Guy in, I think 115 is now even forgotten. I only spoke about it 2 minutes ago. Yeah. But it switched to return to front running tactics. And I just think he'll get rolling and they won't be able to catch him.
Peter says somebody give Steve the flu jab and a hot toddy stat. Yeah, you do sound a bit rough, Jonesy.
Somebody gave me the flu on Monday, and to learn that you were hugging me, you've gone a shade of odds on.
So worry
1.73, I think you are.
It's a worry you can't remember it. Just finally, I feel it's always good to finish up every podcast after either Honeysuckle or Constitution Hill has run with an update on the champion hurdle odds. So Constitution Hill is now 1.4 compared to Honeysuckle 9.0's third favourite. Where were you, Jonesy, before they both run this season? I can't remember which side.
Honeysuckle. I thought it was crazy that a horse that was unbeaten and had won the last two was such a big price, but she's no longer unbeaten and she might not even run, might she say?
Well, so again, Peter said that he still backs his punt. Honeysuckle doesn't make the Cheltenham Festival. Yeah, it was disappointing last week, Adele, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it always is when you see a horse like her get beaten. But to be honest, even on last season, what Constitution Hill has shown, I wouldn't have fancied Honeysuckle anyway, I don't think. He is an absolute monster. Like, to put him even in the same bracket as Flightline, he is a monster. And we've even seen what horses are like. The ones that tried to keep up with him, they had to go home in an ambulance because they finished so tired. I mean, he's just he's got a serious engine, hasn't he? I mean, he's so exciting.
Yeah, he's frightening. 1.4 now. We're probably going to see that horse at Kempton on Boxing Day. Right. Talking of ambulances, Steve, get well soon. Adele, thanks ever so much. Don't forget, everyone, to head to insights.matchbook.com for a recap of all the best bets. You can also find the podcast out on there for the football on Saturday night. That is England against France. The guys have done a pod there, and it's up on Insights as well with thoughts on that match. Have a very good weekend, all. Let's hope for some racing.